uh, Lynch Mob was after you went and did Loudness in Japan. This would have been 89 ish,
Yeah,
90. Like,
yeah. And then Lynch Mob was 1990. And there's a whole
okay.
big story about that because what just came out recently, I don't know if you saw it, but they were Phil Anselmo was talking about Pantera and the first record, which I was gonna do. And then
Cowboys? You were going to do Cowboys? Far out.
yeah.
Wow.
It's an interesting. It's a real long story, and I was talking to a couple of people called me out, and it said, "Dude, you bailed on it." And I'm like, "Well,
Uh-oh.
I went to do Lynch Mob actually."
Ah,
So
wow.
the thing, okay, so but I don't know. It's
Well, wait,
it's kind of a long.
it wouldn't have been Cowboys. It would have been the second record, Vulgar Display of Power. Is that correct?
No, first record.
Oh, Cowboys.
Okay, here's what happened. I got a call from Derek at Atco, right?
Yes.
The guy from Gentle Giant, Derek. Can't remember his second name. Anyway,
that's okay.
He called me up. He goes, "Listen, I got this band down in Texas. You got to go down and see them, and tell me what's going on." So I went down there. It was Pantera. It's a tiny little bar. I sit at the bar. I can see through the bar to the stage right here. It's a little place. A band comes out. They start doing fucking Cowboys.
Yeah.
And all the fucking hairs go up on every hair that I had stood up. Yeah. And I'm like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
So I was like, just sat there and had a few drinks and enjoyed the show. And the show was fantastic. And at that point, the fucking band was just fucking raw and just fucking this whole magic thing.
Hungry.
So I was like, oh shit. Yeah. I mean, the whole thing, Dime back, the whole thing, man. The whole thing was just fucking all put together. So I go, dude, totally.
Yeah.
So we have a few drinks afterwards. We have a few shots, blah, blah, blah. I go back to New York. And I said to Derek, you got to sign this band. Mm-hmm. So he goes, yeah, I want to sign the band. He said, I think the band's great. I want you to produce the band. He said, I'll sign them if you produce it. So I go, okay, look, here's the deal. At that point in time, when the industry was different from what it is now, you had to, as a producer, I needed certain things to be in place before I would do a project for self-preservation and to make sure the project was worthwhile and would get source support, support from the record company. So you need a couple of things. You need a contract with the record company at that point in time. You need management. Very important. If you don't get management and you make the record, as soon as they get management, they want to change the record. So there's no point in doing the record if they don't have management in place that's going to stick with them. So I learned these things the hard way, real hard way, after many years. So I go, okay, look, we've got to get them a management, and then we can look at it, So Andy Gould, who was my manager at the time, I said, Andy, this fucking band is happening. You better manage this band. He goes, okay. So he became the manager, him and Walter O'Brien, I think. At the time, they were doing Concrete, or they just post Concrete or whatever. You remember those guys.
Yep.
Anyway, so we started to get everything in place. Atco signed him up. In the meantime, I'm getting replies from George over on the West Coast with Lynch Mob.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to make a record with George for a couple of years before this, and it never really came around. And now he sent me a couple of things, and I'm like, wow, this stuff is great too. So now I'm in this quandary, and it's a fucking drag actually. So I'm like, oh, fuck. So I'm like, George, you got to move, you got to wait. No, he ain't gonna wait. I go, okay. Fucking us Pantera. Okay, guys, you gotta wait. No, they ain't gonna wait. I'm like, fuck. So it comes down to actually quite small things that become deal breakers at this point. So what happened was they wanted to do it down at Vinny wanted to do it at his home studio. No, I'm not going to walk into some like a little, a hut with a 16 track or something. No, I'm not going to do it. It could be a disaster waiting to happen. I could spend more time fixing stuff than recording. It could be a nightmare. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. It would take too long. I don't think we get the best result. We need to do it in a decent place where we can work fast and I know what I'm doing and I got the right console. So Vinny didn't want to change that. So nobody was being flexible. So at that point, I'm like, it came down to actually 30 grand to do Pantera and 50 grand to do Lynch Mob and all the other things. And the thing was, I couldn't say to Vinny, dude, I'm not doing it in your shitty little studio. I mean, I can't say that to the guy.
No.
So I'm like, I can't even say I'm not doing it because of your studio. And that's really the reason.
Mm.
So I go, fuck, guys, look, if you want to know the truth, they're giving me more money. So I made that the reason because I didn't want to be a cunt. I didn't want to be a total cunt to Vinny. Yeah. So they don't know that. And I never really told them that.
Well,
but I really wanted. Yeah, well, they do now. Yeah. I mean, I really didn't want to do it with them. I fucking love the band. We got everything set up. I was instrumental in getting Derek will tell you, Derek,
yeah.
At Acco, well, it's not Acco, Atlantic, but he'll tell you. There's a guy from Gentle Giant, one of the two guys from Gentle Giant that went to Acco, but we were instrumental in getting them signed. We were instrumental, got them management. We got everything in place for them, and then then I couldn't do it. Wow. And then it was like fucked up.
Well,
and
I think
that took like 8 months. Fuck. But anyway, just to cut a long story fucking short, Terry Day got to do them. He was a perfect guy for them. He kept doing the records. He made great records. So I thought everything worked out fine.
Fucking it did. Yeah, they did fine without you, bro.
Yeah.
So,
and you know what? He might have been a better guy to do it too. So, fine.
Yeah, that's a great story.
They figured it out. I feel like it's fairly exclusive too. I don't know how many people know that backstory.
Yeah. It's an interesting story. And I'll tell you who called me out on it was the comedian, what's his name? Don Jameson.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
Because he's kind of a friend of mine, or an acquaintance of mine, or a friend of mine. And I went on his show, and he actually texted me, I guess, when Phil did 10 things you didn't, it was one of those 10 things you didn't know about Cowboys from Hell.
Wow. Okay.
So that was, I think, number 3,
Okay. Far out. Okay.
Norman bailed.
Yeah. It almost sounds like Norman Bates.
Yeah, I know. It's like a fucking horror show thing, man.
Wow.
What a bastard. I can't even believe you were such an asshole.